11 this morning. I swear I put it to 6 o'clock. But anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you for stopping by. I wanted to do a recap on my music ministry and Bible study today. But you know this, I had to play my song because I like this song. It's times like this, and you know we in some crazy times. Times like this, yeah. Be my Superman, yeah. We are in some crazy times. Like the media is not even the media anymore. The internet's not the internet. Like today, I think um, Facebook and Instagram shut down for a little while. I know that the library, some of the internet, they've had internet issues. It's just craziness. People are dying over the stupidest things as far as fighting and stuff, diseases. Like tomorrow ain't promised to nobody, so you might as well live your life today. In times like this, tomorrow don't owe you nothing. Remember that. Yeah, yeah. Times like this, yeah. Wars and rumors of wars. You can't trust the politics or the politicians. Can't trust the public servants. Life is just crazy right now. So cherish your now. Cherish your today. Love. We've had our eye on the prize. Sometimes we didn't think we'd make it through. But times like this remind us why we have this skin, yeah, yeah, to share with you in times like this. So it's like today was a deep day, I think. I wasn't really sure where First Matthew's chapter 19 was, 18 and 19 was going to lead me. So before I even begin to get into the recap of First Samuel chapter 18 and 19, let me go ahead and start with prayer. God, first and foremost, I just want to thank you. Thank you for helping me even in times of frustration. Thank you for being there for us, for your children, when we think we're about to lose our mind. Thank you for reminding me today that all you got to do when you're going through the trials and tribulations of life is to stop for a moment, be silent, and just pray and ask God to show up. And He always does, and I saw that today. So I pray, God, that you will send those that you want to be here, that need to hear whatever message you're about to bring through me. And that they too will remember that when they're in turbulent times, when they're in tough times, that all they got to do is find a place of peace, even if it's a corner of the room or the bedroom or bathroom or wherever, and just still their mind and just pray to you and ask you for help, because you are always there. You say you'll never leave us nor forsake us. So I pray, God, that you cover this live tonight. It's none of me and all of you. Send whom you want to be here. Speak through me so that I'm not saying what I think you want me to say, but I'm saying exactly what you want me to say. Lead me and guide me. I am your willing vessel. I appreciate you and I love you, and thank you for everyone who comes and sees it live or later, because if you're here, that means there's a message for you. And I believe that, and thank you for using me, God. Amen. So I wasn't really sure where First Samuel was going to lead me. I wasn't really sure. I had read 17, and I knew that David had killed Goliath. Right? God had given him the ability to overcome his giant, or the giant that was in front of him. And I take it within our personal lives is that we have giants that we face. It might be giants that we bring into our lives, or it might be giants that other people bring into our lives. But either way, we all got challenges. We all go through trials and tribulations. We all go through that stuff. We all have our form of Goliath, right? So I understood what chapter 17 was about. I wasn't really sure what 18 and 19 were going to bring. The leading of it was Jonathan and David. That was the subtitle. And so I knew that Jonathan was Saul's son, but I wasn't sure how they connected, and I wasn't really sure what was going to come from this. But as I started reading it, I understood that God had given Jonathan, Saul's son, a special love for David. Like he respected him, like he loved him. And I noticed throughout those coming chapters that God placed several people in David's life that loved him and that had his back. The community had his back. Everybody had his back. Everybody loved David, right? Saul, on the other hand, must have felt something was amiss. He knew that something in his internal spirit let him know that there was something about David that was um, challenging, or that was powerful, or that was going to um, replace him. So his love for David turned to hate and jealousy. He became very jealous of David, and he started to hate him. And so he was worried about him overtaking his kingdom, because he noticed that the people were starting to love David. And in fact, in one of the chapters, it says that the people were chanting, and they were saying, that Saul had slain thousands, but David had slain 10,000. So they were like praising David more than Saul, and Saul didn't like that, right? And there was something about the power of David, just the essence of who he was, that Saul wasn't feeling. So Saul started trying to kill him. First, he was doing it secretly. Then he just all out started asking people to kill him, including his son Jonathan. But Jonathan had a love for David, so he didn't do it. So it goes on that every plot and everything that Saul tried to do to destroy David failed. Every time he tried to trick him and get people to kill him and all that kind of stuff, the plots never worked. They always failed. Every single thing that Saul tried to do against David, to kill David, to get David out the way, did not work. Not one thing. It was like God had planted what I like to call earth angels, but he had planted people around David to protect him, you know? And so that made me think about our own lives, and how a lot of times we go through trials and tribulations. We go through issues, and we don't even realize that some people that are in our circles, um, don't always have our best interests at heart, but we can't always see that, because sometimes these people have two faces. Saul had two faces. In one face, he was acting like he loved David, but behind David's back, he was very jealous of David, and he started trying to do stuff to kill David. So at one moment, Saul is looking at David. Hey, what's going on? I love you. You the bomb. I seen what you did out there, the Philistines. You was the bomb, diggity. I love that. He was doing all that. But then when David wasn't around, he was like, listen, I want y'all to plot, kill him. Where he going? Follow him. Wherever he's at, kill him. So he was just like trying to kill David. He was trying to kill David. Saul knew deep down that David was about to replace him. He may not have had the exact proof, but he knew that David had favor, and he remembered the prophecies, and he also remembered what Samuel told him, that he was going to be replaced. In fact, I do believe that Samuel told him, that he was going to be replaced by someone named David. I do believe Samuel told him that. Saul may just not have remembered. Everybody that is in your circle does not necessarily want you to win. Let's just be honest with you. Everybody that's in your life, or that comes through your life or around your life, not everybody wants you to succeed. Some people who you may have known since you was a kid, you may have known since you was a baby. Y'all probably went to high school, kindergarten, high school, middle school. Your mama and daddy used to know each other back in the day, all that kind of stuff. And you would think that they love you because they act like they do. But when you start to getting closer and closer to your purpose, to your assignment, to your mission, or you start to leave in that old neighborhood, or you start to elevating in the job, or you start to, going in higher places in the church, or wherever the growth is happening, sometimes the people who never truly had your heart, or had you in their heart like they should have, may start to trying to do things to restrict or hold you back or sabotage your things of that nature. And that's basically what was happening between David and Saul. Saul was secretly trying to destroy David. At first it was in secret. Then he outright was like, I want him dead. David didn't do nothing to him. David didn't do one. David was trying to love him. David was playing the harp to get rid of all the evil spirits that was messing with him. Whenever Saul wanted a war to happen to get rid of the Philistines, David was right there on the battleground. David married his daggone daughter. David showed love. He was real. He was like, David was who he was. David was real. He was real. But Saul wasn't. Saul even swear before God that he wouldn't try to. He told his son, when his son was like, why are you trying to kill this man? He ain't done nothing to you but showed you love and loyalty. And Saul at that moment was like, you right. I promise before God I ain't gonna try to kill him. It seemed like as soon as David was Jonathan was out of his face, Saul was right back at trying to kill David. Like he could feel the power. He could feel the strength. He could feel his spirit. He knew. Right? And that's why he was trying to kill him. There are people who can feel your strength. They know who you are. They know who you are even if you don't. They can feel your power even if you can't. They know that if a certain door opens for you, if you get a certain type of favor, if something happens that all of a sudden blockages are moved, you're going to soar. And some people who already see your strength right down here don't want you to get up there. Because maybe they are insecure, just plain out jealousy, or maybe they're worried that you're going to get to a higher plateau than them, or what. I don't know what it is. But sometimes people have two faces. Saul had two faces. In this season, I feel like God is going to let you know who needs to remain in your circle and who does not. Everybody at the bus stop don't need to get on the bus. Some people need to be watching you from the sideline because they're going to be throwing rocks at the back of your bus and you don't even know it anyway. So they need to be on the sideline watching you. Everybody don't need a front row seat. But it doesn't matter, even if you accidentally let in some snakes, because you can only go by what people tell you or show you. But if they're hiding and you can't see it, then how do you know whether or not you can trust them or not unless something happens? So there might be some people that are in your life that you end up accidentally taking to the next level. And they might actually start to get to a certain point where they become jealous of your assignment, because God is changing people and putting people in places of leadership. And everybody ain't going to be happy about it. So, but even if they try to sabotage you, even if they try to keep doors closed, even if they talk about you behind your back, even if they spread lies on you, it does not matter what tricks the enemy tries. If God said that's your spot, if God said you're going to make it, if God said I'm going to restore everything that the devil stole from you with interest, you can put your bottom dollar on that. And I don't care what the enemy tries. He gonna try different stuff. Job was tested. Who in the Bible do you know has been tested? Better yet, at what point in your life do you ever remember a major winning happened without you having to do something to get it or go through some obstacles to receive it. You didn't become, next in charge and whatever your occupation is by just sitting around being lazy. You had to work for it. And you might have had to go through some challenges. You might have spent some late nights, all that kind of stuff. There's no difference in the spiritual world. You're going to win. You're going to win. You're going to win. And and God is going to bless you above your expectations, because he said that. He said that he will bless you more than your mind could ever think. That means that he has things planned for you that you ain't even really thought about yet. When you take that step of faith, right? I'm speaking to somebody right now. When you take that step of faith that God has been talking to you about, and he's been talking to you about it in your dreams, maybe through confirmation through other people, things, something. You've got something in your spirit that you ain't been able to let go, and it's for the good of mankind. You've created something, you've written something, you've discovered something. It's something within you. And the only thing that's holding that thing in you is fear. But as soon as you release that fear and you walk off in faith, the thing that you have been praying to God for is going to end up being better and more than what you expect. Something about what you're praying for is going to end up being much bigger, going to touch more lives, going to help more people, going to be a blessing in a bigger way than what you expect. Because that's always how faith is. When you step out in faith, you can't see what's to come. You can only see one step at a time, one instruction at a time, one step of obedience at a time. And then as a result of that, you see what's next. If you walk to this door and God says, open the door, and you open the door and it got all these unexpected things, that the faith step was you walking to the door and opening it as you was instructed. And then the rest of it is there. You're going to win. I don't care how long it's been. I don't care how many people told you it wasn't possible. I don't care how many people saw you fall when you tried it the last time, and the last time, and the last time. If God said keep going, if you haven't heard him say stop, don't do this, don't go that way, or whatever. If you haven't if something in your spirit keeps saying keep trying, don't stop, have faith, keep moving forward, stand still, I'm coming, it's gonna happen in God's timing. If you keep getting them messages about something that's heavy on your heart, that's God speaking to your spirit. Especially only if it's something good and for humanity. Now, if you're thinking some negative stuff, then that ain't God, because God don't rock that way. No weapon formed against you is going to prosper. I don't care how many people try to stop you. I don't care how many people said you wouldn't make it. I don't care if you was the black sheep, you was the little fat girl at the end of at the back of the class, you was the little fat boy that nobody liked. I don't care. I don't care if you was dirty and your mom was on crack when you was growing up, or your daddy was in jail cell and the only way you got to see him was through the visits. I don't care. I don't care if you went through child molestation and rape. I don't care if you was bullied all through your life. I don't care what part of a black sheep you've been where your family did not support your dreams, your visions, your goals, or never really thought you was going to be more than what your mama was or your daddy was or your cousin was. I don't care about none of that. If God said that in 2024 or 2025 or whenever God's timing is, that you're going to do that thing, that what you need is going to show up and you're going to be able to walk in that purpose and complete that assignment, there is no trick, there's no plot of the enemy that can stop you. You can't. I feel like the devil been trying to kill me since I was in my mama's womb. I'm like, God darn, can I get a break? You know what I'm saying? I feel like the devil has been trying to get rid of me since I was a child. I feel like that was the whole purpose of the child abuse, and going through that part where my stepmother was trying to kill me. I feel like the enemy been trying to take me on off of here for a long time. And that's why I've had those experiences with near car accidents and craziness and all the stuff that should have taken my life. Jesus. Even when I'm doing creative stuff, I experience the waves of blockages as I go up through the waves. As I go higher and higher, as my algorithms rise, I can feel the spiritual attacks and the things that have been, try to stop me. My internet will mess up or something. It'll be something. I start calling. It'll be something. But no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. You gotta speak those words like weapons. You gotta put on that armor of faith and courage. You gotta walk those steps of perseverance and patience. You got to hold on to that faith and that trust. You got to take God at His word, because either the Bible is the truth or it's all a lie. Either there's a God who loves you and who got your back and will never leave you nor forsake you, and His word never returns to Him void, and He will do all that you ask Him to do. All you got to do is write the vision, make it plain, as long as it's according to His will. If it's either all that or it's none of that. It's either all that or none. It can't. There's no in between. There's either a God that got your back or there's nothing. For those who are purposely trying to hinder, stop, and delay you, it's not going to win. It's not going to prosper. Saul tried everything he could to get rid of David. He could sense David's power. He knew there was something about David that he needed to worry about. Even though he was king and he had everything he could want. But there was this little heart playing sheep herder that he was scared about. This little poor, heart playing sheep herder that had him afraid. There was something about the power of David and the one that was least likely that he knew, this brother trying to take my spot. Nothing is going to stop what God has said is yours. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. You didn't put in all those hours and weeks and months and years of working and praying and falling down and standing back up and still working and praying and falling and you didn't go through all of that for nothing. Especially if you prayed about it before you started. Remember that. If you prayed about whatever it is before you started and you started that journey, there is no way in the world that God is not going to honor that. And I can speak that from existence and from my own experience. I didn't know anything, and I say it all the time, and I know you're like, oh, we know you didn't know anything about making movies. You know anything, but you don't understand the power of that. I did not know anything about writing scripts. I did not know anything about writing books or making movies or editing film. I had no knowledge. I had never been to any traditional school. I had never experienced none. I didn't know none of that. I was afraid to sing in front of people. Come on now. I was the one that they used to talk about. They used to call me if you could think, every black name you could think of, every dark skinned name you could think of, that was me. Every ugly name you could think of, that was me. I was the one that nobody wanted to take to the prom. Nobody wanted to date me. Nobody, because I was too dark. I was too this. I was that when I was the one that was quiet, that was in the back of the class all the time, reading romance novels, because I was like non-existent to the world because I wasn't popular. I was a nerd. I was quiet. And I had been abused. Who would have thought 30, 40 years later I would be standing up here and advocating against domestic violence? Who would have guessed that I would have been the one to create a movie and a whole organization, an independent movement from scratch with no education? That wasn't me. That was God working through me. Who would have thought that I would have made music with one of the biggest Atlanta producers in Atlanta? Who would have thought that I would have wrote books and lived in Chicago and Atlanta and started a whole independent movement? Who would have thought that? From the little black girl that nobody ever thought would amount to anything. God loves to use the least likely, the one you don't expect, the one that doesn't seem like they got enough connections. They're not popular enough. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough resources, enough backing. You know, David was a little shepherd boy that liked to play the flute or the harp out in the field, shoveling sheep doo doo and doing all that kind of stuff. He was that. But God chose him because God knew his heart. You know, God knew his heart. I don't care how long you've been trying. I don't care how hard it seems. We make it through. But times like this remind us why we have this skin. Yeah. You was given those dreams, those purposes, those gifts for a reason. And God didn't give that to you just so you can sit back and say, oh, well, it hasn't happened yet, so I guess it's not going to happen. Oh, well, I guess all that hard work was for nothing. Oh, well, I guess this is all it's ever going to be. No. Trust God. He chose you because he knew you had what it took. You might have to go through some challenges. You might fall on your knees a couple times. You might have to repeat a couple of life classes because you don't learn the lesson the first time. You might go through all that, but you will never miss a divine appointment. And if God said it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And no weapon formed against you is going to prosper. So that's all I want to say. I just wanted to remind you of that because that's what stood out to me when I read chapter 18 and chapter 19 of 1 Samuel. Nothing that Saul did was able to stop David. Nothing that Saul did was able to stop the purpose, the mission, or the assignment. God said David was going to be king. And God said David was going to take Saul's spot. There was nothing that Saul could do to delay that, to slow that down, or to keep that from happening. And it didn't matter if all Saul had, he had the whole king, all the money, all that kind of stuff. None of that mattered. All that money, all that kingdom, all that stuff, all that fur, all the food, all the this, all the that, It doesn't matter if your bank account is not high or you on negative or, you living paycheck to paycheck and all that kind of stuff. None of that matters because at the divine time that God said it's time, He's just going to send earth angels to do what needs to be done to get you to where you need to be, regardless of what your bank account is or regardless of what your status is. If God said it's time, it's time. God gave David's wife a love for him that she protected him. God gave, and mind you, David's wife was Saul's daughter. So, and Jonathan was Saul's son. So God gave favor to David through Saul's own children. Saul's own children wasn't messing with him. Saul trying to kill David, and his children are protecting David. The community that they lived in loved David, supported David, in spite of the fact that Saul was king. When God has a mission and a purpose for your life, He will send earth angels into your life. And they will be the ones that will open up doors. And they will open up doors at the divine time. Because remember that your life is connected to somebody else. So somebody else has to meet a certain point in their life and so that your paths can connect. And if that person is of extreme importance, then it might take you a little bit longer to get to the point where you meet them because they might have to go through a couple classes, to get to the point where they can connect with you because there's something about your connection that's powerful. But when God says it's time, ain't nothing gonna stop that. Ain't nobody gonna stop that. When God says it's time, it's time. Thank you, Father. Thank you for reminding me of that, even in my own life. When I go through trials and tribulations and I get stressed out and I just want to scream, thank you for reminding me that all we need to do when we get into those points where it seems like the battle is getting more difficult and the storms are raging and everything around us is twisted and turning and there's confusion and all that kind of stuff in the atmosphere, that's our first sign that the breakthrough is right there, because that Satan is throwing every trick, finding every trick in the bag. David was trying to do everything to kill Saul. He was telling his people, he told his kids, he told his people, he told the countrymen, he was everywhere. It got to the point where Saul was like, I'm going to take this brother out myself. I'm going to do it myself. He went where Samuel and David was to try to kill David himself. And even when he tried to do it himself, he still couldn't. God put a spirit on him where he started prophesying. He couldn't even do what he went to do. There's a shift that's happening in the atmosphere. I feel it because I've even started doing something that's different, with me doing this Bible study online. That's a shift in my life. Hello, hi, hello, is that Abba or Abba? Hello, how are you doing? Praise God that you found me. So if you found me on here, it's for a purpose and a reason, because I already prayed before we started that whoever you sent was supposed to be sent. So I'm guessing that this message is also for you. That whatever it is that you've been dreaming about or praying about or asking God about, and even if it has been delayed, and even if a lot of obstacles have come against you, it's going to happen, because God will send earth angels around you to protect you, to make sure that it happens. Because he said, my word will never return to me void. So remember that. There's power in prayer. Sometimes when you're irritated, you got to stop. You got to inhale. You got to exhale. And you just got to talk to God and say, I know what I see, but I also know what you told me. So give me a peace that surpasses all understanding and turn this situation around if this is your will. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to stop. And you got to ask God, if this is what you want me to do, then help me do it. And give me a peace. Give me the peace that I need to do it in. Because peace is more important than rubies and gold, y'all. I don't care how much money you get. I don't care how high you get up in whatever you're searching for, whatever you're trying to reach to, wherever you're trying to go. Peace is so important. Without peace, you don't have nothing. And family is important. Don't be getting so that you feel like you don't need family. Because you can have all the money and all the stuff in the world and still be lonely, still be depressed. We've had our eye on the prize. Sometimes I feel this note more than anything. Sometimes we didn't feel like we would make it through. But when your faith gets built up, you start to remember what God promised you. Yeah, to share with you. You start to remembering in times like this what God promised you in the midnight hours, the dreams and visions that he gave you. I don't care what it looked like. Times like this, yeah. I don't care what it looked like. If God said you're going to get it, you're going to get it. So remember that. Peace and love to you. God, thank you for once again giving me the opportunity to speak what's in my heart. Thank you for choosing me to read your word in front of the people as I'm reading it to myself. Thank you for giving us confirmation in our lives outside of YouTube, outside of BIGO Live, outside of the internet, to show us that your word is real and no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And that no tactic of the enemy is going to win. All we got to do is stop, be still, find a place of peace so we can hear your voice. And in that peace will come the answer and solution to the problem. Just bring it to the Lord. Every time I do that, by the time I stand up and walk around, there's a solution right there. But when you're in that state of confusion and angry and can't see and you can't think, that's when everything is crazy. And so you can't see that the solution is right there. You can't even see it because you don't got the patience, because you're irritated, because the enemy got you. But when you stop, inhale, exhale, count to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. God, turn this situation around. 5, 4, 3, 2. Give me a peace that surpasses all understanding if this is your will. 1. When I walk back around here, God, work it out. That's what you got to do. I had to do that a few times today. You got to do that through your life. God never said the battles wouldn't come. He just said they wouldn't prosper. They won't prosper. You will win. Whatever the challenge is, whatever the battle is, you're going to win. You're going to win. And I know you might be like, well, how can you say that I'm going to win if, I've been diagnosed with cancer or something like that? Okay, so understand that you were sent here on an assignment. And you're going to be here for as long as that assignment is. And when you have completed that assignment, then it's time to transition. And God is going to say, well done, daughter. Well done, son. But until then, just trust God and enjoy every moment with your loved ones and your family. That's to the ones who are dealing with something that's life-threatening. But for those of you who you're chasing after a dream and a goal, and God has given you that seed where you can see it, you can see yourself doing it, you have the ability, you can do it, but you're just afraid, or you're just thinking, but I may not have enough money or resources. And the other guy said, just keep walking. Just keep talking. Speak victory. Everything that I needed for that movie showed up. But it didn't show up until I needed it. Everything. Every step of those 10 years, what I needed would show up. Sometimes 11:59. But it never was late. I always had what I needed when I needed it. Even finances. Sometimes you gotta be like, Lord, especially if you're a tither. If you're someone who don't have a problem with giving and tithing, God, please, I need a deposit, a withdrawal. I need a withdrawal from my heavenly bank. I need some money down here. I need some help. Can you please send that quick, fast, and hurry? And watch it show up right on time, especially if you're a giver. Now, if you're somebody who's afraid to give, then it might take a little longer because you might have to, I don't know. But if you're a giver and you're sowing seeds into places and things, and you're doing what God wants you to do, just go, God, can I get a withdrawal? I got some bills over here that need to be paid, like ASAP. So can you please direct deposit? Quick, fast, and hurry. Ask God for what you need. He said, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be opened. So, trust me. You're going to win. You're going to win. I'm going to say it one more time just in case you need to hear it a third time. You're going to win. And why am I saying that? Because it's in the Word. And either the Bible is the truth, if there is a God who loves us and who wants you to win, or it's not. It's either one or the other. There's no in between. So trust him. That's what I'm doing. And I know some days it ain't easy. That's when you got to get on your knees and pray. And that's when you got to stop, inhale, exhale. God, grant me with a peace that surpasses all understanding. Because I know you got this. And I know that no matter what it looks like, that you're going to show up right on time. So just give me the peace to get through it until you do show up. You got to talk to God like he's your friend. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. See, you're only dependent on what you can see with your natural eyes. But there's a spiritual world around you that you can't see. There are angels that are guarding you on a daily basis. God is always sending messages, things to his children. You just have to be at peace enough to hear it. You gotta have enough faith to believe it. You gotta have enough strength and courage to walk it. That's kind of like how that goes. So anyway, peace and love to you, God. Thank you so much for this platform, for all the people who come now or later. Because I know whenever they come, whether it's now or later, this message, and my messages overall, are intended for them at the time that they get it. Peace and love to you.